I think it's time that we have a very specific conversation about the difference in keto, carnivore, fasting, as opposed to a high carb diet or a moderate carb diet, right? If you go to the fitness industry, all you hear is how shitty keto is, and why you shouldn't fast, and all of these things. And I totally get it. Now, if you go to functional medicine, if you go to the more naturopathic route, you'll find them saying, no, in order to get your blood sugar down, in order to burn that fat, like, you have to go keto or carnivore. So neither one are right or wrong. As someone who's lived in both worlds, what I would like to do is break down why they both work, but it's very much contingent upon one thing, and that is your lifestyle. So the biggest differentiating factor is going to be, like I said, lifestyle, but even more specifically, we got to talk about muscle mass, because muscle is the organ of longevity. And so if you have a lot of muscle mass and you are lifting and you are working those muscles very intensely on a regular basis, what you'll find is that a low carb or no carb diet doesn't benefit you very well, because muscle is extremely expensive nutritionally. It requires a lot of glucose. In fact, if you want to enjoy a regular diet with carbohydrates, then I suggest you start lifting, okay? Because before, when I was a yoga practitioner and I would go for runs, I had no problem doing keto. I thought carnivore was amazing. But I did not have the demand, the metabolic demand from my muscles saying, hey, we need a lot of carbs, right? And so I was able to enjoy a more ketogenic type lifestyle, right? To keep blood sugar down, to keep inflammation down. So it's depending on your lifestyle, that might work. So keto and carnivore, and especially fasting, are really good for people who don't have a lot of muscle mass and who are more sedentary. But the game quickly shifts if you start building a lot of muscle mass, right? Because that muscle mass is going to now become very dependent on glucose, which it converts to glycogen, okay? So you'll find, especially for women, especially because when I got into lifting, I was trying to do keto and my body just broke down on me. And I was like, what is going on? I don't understand. I've always lived this ketogenic lifestyle. Why all of a sudden is this not working? And no one could actually explain it to me. All I knew is my TBM practitioner was like, your body wants carbs. Your body wants carbs. And I'm like, how is that possible? I've really just kind of learned to live without them. How is that possible? But again, no one was explaining this to me. No one was saying, hey, well, you're doing things differently now. Therefore, your nutritional demands are different. And again, I see these arguments all the time online. And nobody is right and nobody is wrong. It's 100% contingent upon your lifestyle. Now, men can get away with both. Well, of course, they're going to need carbs to build those muscle or whatever, but men can get away with being ketogenic long-term and do just fine. But if you look up the individuals who did practice keto long-term, and I don't have their names offhand, or carnivore long-term, they did eventually have kind of a nervous system fallout, right? Because while their body was willing to manage it for a time, it wasn't willing to do it indefinitely. So that's why I said keto and carnivore are fabulous for sedentary lifestyles or for low muscle mass, but they are not the solution long-term if you are building that metabolic organ, your muscle. And the thing is, now that I have gotten into lifting, I can honestly say that I think building muscle mass as the way to lower blood sugar, to burn fat, to lower inflammation is far superior to living a ketogenic lifestyle. Again, This is personal preference. I am not here to tell you what to do. But now that I lift, I can eat whatever I want, not worry about blood sugar, maintain my body weight, maintain low body fat because of that muscle, because I have built up such a strong metabolic organ, okay? I think keto and carnivore are exceptional ways to jumpstart the system if you are not athletic or active at all in any way, shape, or form, or if you are really heavy, like if you're like way high on your BMI and you just need a starting place, then if you want to get a lot of weight off of you fast, keto, carnivore, fat, these are excellent ways to jumpstart the system. But ultimately, for longevity, you just cannot go wrong with muscle mass. You just can't go wrong. And so when you see these videos of people who are doing the keto and the carnivore and it's working for them, it is. But you have to question, what does their lifestyle look like? Because I guarantee, unless they are just moderately active. And Ashtanga yoga is pretty intense, but it still didn't build the kind of muscle that lifting will. So I've heard people go, oh, but I do lift and I can do keto and it's fine. I'm not going to question that. Maybe you can. But when you really, because I used to lift light, like I used to kind of do like a hybrid. But then when I really was like, okay, it's time to actually like build some muscle here. And I went from 25% body fat down to 20. It was because I was lifting hard and heavy and endurance-wise. Completely changed the game. So going and lifting a few weights is not going to stop you from doing a ketogenic diet. It's not going to throw your nervous system off. It's not going to shut down your adrenals. But if you are going really hard on that lifting and you're a woman trying to do a ketogenic diet, I guarantee your body's going to stop you. It's not going to let you. You need the glucose uptake in the muscles. You just need it. And then if you're not lifting, absolutely. You can totally do keto or carnivore and have excellent results, right? But again, if we really want to maintain that blood sugar from the inside, not just through diet, but from the inside, you have to build muscle mass. That's the only way to do it. And so I think it's just really important to clarify this because now that I've lived in both worlds and I see people online having these arguments, no one's really talking about why. Why? Can we just clarify why lifestyle and muscle mass is going to make or break the difference between a ketogenic diet and a high-carb diet, okay? And lastly, just in terms of fasting, I think it's important to recognize that fasting is amazing if you run high blood sugar and you're sedentary, okay? So if you are lifting heavy, these intermittent fasts are going to be a lot harder on you. If you're a very heavy person going in, so let's say you're maybe you're morbidly obese and you're starting to get into heavy lifting, you can intermittent fast for a while. The body will allow you because you have enough fat reserves to carry you through. If you're a smaller person and you don't have a whole lot of excess fat and you try to lift and fast, you will absolutely run into nervous system issues, 100%. And if you run low blood sugar, don't fast. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. It's not worth the cortisol spikes, the sympathetic dominance, and all of the other damage that you can do. If you know that very specific window in the month where you can intermittent fast or you can do a 24-hour fast, good for you. But if you're new and you haven't tried it and you run low blood sugar, I would just say don't go there. It's not worth having the side effects, only to have to rebuild from that. So again, if you're a sedentary person or low activity person, keto, carnivore, these are great. If you're into heavy lifting and that's your way of life, make sure you eat your carbs. I hope that makes sense. My name is Paige Elizabeth. I'm a wellness and mindset coach, and I talk about all things nervous system related. So for more information, please like, share, and follow.